Hey, good morning. How are you guys? I hope you guys are doing great. So today my video is about, are we there yet? And what am I asking? I'll show you right now. We're gonna be talking about going agile. Okay, are we there yet? And I'm gonna go through two scenarios, and then we're just gonna cover like some of the basics, and it's just a way to think about agile and to reflect upon, right, wrong, what you want to do, is there such a thing, kind of deal. Okay, so I'm just gonna step away from the video for a moment, and then you're just gonna hear my voice, which I think is what you want. Anyway, here we go. So I'm gonna give you two scenarios. The first scenario, is gonna be implementing what some will call Scrum, others will call Scrum-like, which is basically you have some of the ceremonies, you use some of the artifacts, but there's gonna be missing pieces of it, and sometimes the most important pieces that are missing is the support that we provide to the people actually doing the work to get accomplished. We fail to provide inspection, and we fail to provide mentoring and coaching, and it's very much, instead of just implementing a framework, it's more of a SOP kind of deal where you're just telling people what to do, and where they need to meet and what they need to say. There's very little room to grow. And when you are doing this, you're constantly teaching, not really mentoring or coaching. So if you decide tomorrow that you don't want to do Scrum or the Scrum-like, you probably haven't built a mindset around the Agile principles, right? And the Scrum values. You fail to give control because you want to stay in control. And that might be a scenario. Then you have Scrum. And if implemented correctly, this will be supportive. You will have the artifacts and you will have the ceremonies, but right, everything is focused on the principles and the values, focus, respect, openness, courage, commitment, right? And then you will have the pillars, the Scrum pillars, also supporting the team and helping with progress and growth, which is transparency, inspection, and adaptation. And you will be supporting the team in a way where they are growing, they are learning as a team, as people, professionally, personally, because not only do you provide the teaching, but you're providing the mentoring and coaching, right? So in this kind of environment where you're just looking for a product delivery, and that's it. That's why you implemented a process. You don't really care about anything else. You just want something done, and it might be short-lived. Okay, you might start out, and then you're gonna see things that stop working in a certain way because you really haven't built a mindset. People are not content. That could be a scenario. You're not even evaluating. They're motivated, they're content, how to improve, because retrospectives then become a complaint meeting. People don't feel safe, so they might be each other's throats, or they might just not want to be there, but at the same time, you're not spending any time on working through those issues, or very little time, because it's not seen as something that is important. The important thing is just to get the product out the door. And yes, that is very important, that the teams learn from each other, that they grow, that they actually help to create that shift in culture in the company, that others see them being successful and that they want a piece of that. They'll feel like, you know what, I want to know what you guys are doing. We would like to work that way. And that happens. I've been through those scenarios where someone joins, let's say one of my teams, and they're there for a short period of time, because maybe they were an SME at the time and we needed their particular skill set. And then when they walk out in retrospectives, it's refreshing to hear things like, you know what, I love this. I'm going to take it back to my department or to my company, and I'm going to talk about it to see if they want to do it. Even if they don't want to do it, I already know this, and that, and I'm going to keep implementing it because I think it's important. For example, communicating in a certain way. Okay, so you want to, right, you might want to create a process to help build strong teams. To build teams, how do you build teams, right? Explain what's a team, understand what they need, provide what they need, be there to listen, and while they're doing that, make sure that the outcome, the product, whatever it is that they're building, is actually being taken care of, right? And there's a delivery at the end of every cycle. So, is it right or wrong? There's no right or wrong. It just depends on where you're at, what you want. Okay? What's your culture like? Do you want it to stay that way? Do you care? Ultimately, I believe that working on mentoring and coaching and teaching people and making sure they know they have a support and that leadership, demonstrate leadership skills, is important for the growth, for the general growth, to deliver faster, to deliver quality, to just deal with less people issues at the end of the day, okay, which take a lot of time. Also, this is important, right? When you need to stop thinking of this area, that area, and you need to build around what collaboration is going to look like to deliver a certain product. Okay, what do we need to do? And you need to work with those people as well. If you don't, then you have a team who understands certain things versus other people who don't. And there's going to be frustration. There's a big gap between, this team and the other people, the other team. If you just had a culture where people are part, it's a big team, it's just a big umbrella, right? We not only cooperate, but we want to collaborate. Then this is easier when people actually have clarity on what needs to be done and why, and how do we need to collaborate, how do I fit in, all those kind of things. And then at some point, like, you need to give control. It's not that people are just going to do whatever they want, right? There needs to be boundaries, but you need to feel comfortable giving control to the people who are actually doing the work. Stop telling people what to do and give them the responsibilities, hold them accountable. Once they actually understand what they need to do and how to do it and what is expected, not how to do it, what is expected of them, then believe in them, right? They have the right skill sets. You hire them for some reason. They're there for some reason. If they fail to do certain things, let's find out why. And let's work through those issues. Okay? Sometimes tough decisions need to be made. And this is important too. When going Agile, a lot of people think of Agile as just responding to change. So this is one of the principles, right? Responding to change or following a plan. And they interpret this as, well, you know what? We're just going to be juggling and doing a balancing act all the time. And it doesn't matter. Whatever you throw at me, I'm just going to catch it. And I'm just going to drop everything. I'm just going to do it. And then, it's not about that. It's about, again, communication. How we deal with requests. How we deal with dependencies, right? When we find something out, what do we do with it? Okay? When somebody comes and just keeps dropping stuff and then your list keeps going this way, and hold on, because I'll show you right now. So this is how your priorities look like when you start the day. The CIO came along and said, or your boss came along and said, these are the priorities for the day. And then, there's something happened. You have a client who's something's going on with them, and then it's like, okay, forget about. Just they won't say forget about it. They'll say, I need you to work on this now. Okay. So now you start working on this, and then there's another fire to put out. Okay? So now somebody comes and says, this is an emergency situation, you need to drop everything, and now you have to do this. Okay? Maybe this was from the CIO, maybe this was from I don't know, the director of some department or whatever. This was from your boss. These are just things that you needed to get done. What happens is, some point during the day, the people who you promised this to, or maybe it was your own boss, which happens a lot. They're gonna say, hey, do you finish this? And you're like, no. Because I was working on this. He's like, but who asked you for this? So and so. Okay, whatever. You didn't tell me or whatever. Then later, they come and they forgot all this conversation. Now they come and they say, hey, do you finish this? No. And when you try to get priorities, because you can't get everything done, they'll say something like, well, everything is a priority. You need to get everything done, which is impossible. Or you can get everything done, but it's going to be lacking quality. It's just going to have errors, and you're going to have to rework some of the issues, most likely. So that is just chaos, okay? People don't have control of what they need to do. They don't know how to communicate. People are not listening, okay? There's no visibility. There's no transparency, okay? There's really just chaos. So when we talk about responding to change or following a plan, we're not talking about that. That scenario is not what we're talking about. We're talking about, we know what we need to do. If things change, what do we need to do? What we need to negotiate on to actually get this goal accomplished and where the other goals fit. What do we do with these? Right? And people know about it. So you're giving control to the teams, the business people as well as the technical people, okay, to make decisions, to work as a team, regardless of whether they're in two different departments. When they get together to do something, they are a team because they are working on a goal. Okay? So, are we there yet? That's a question that you need to ask yourselves. And also, need to understand that if you take this route, it's not wrong. I mean, you're starting out with something. Okay? You might just not know what that is. Okay? And you might not have the right mindset. You're right. You don't understand Agile completely. And that's fine. I mean, these things take time. But you're taking a step to do something different. Okay? So, the important thing with this route is to stay open, right, to the learnings, what's coming out of this. This is going to help you eventually to get to this, if this is what you want, right? It could be something else, okay? And eventually, hopefully, you know about this. You've trained your people, you've helped them, you coach them, you mentor them around all this, so that at some point you are agile, not just doing something and taking a framework, a technique, a process, a methodology or something from Agile and just implementing it, with actually nurturing it, okay, which is important. So where you at, I don't know where you're at, okay? You might just be starting out, putting something together, something small. That's good. It's the first step. You've done something different. So baby steps are good. So to conclude the video, it depends on, depending on the route you take, something might be short-lived and others might stay around, they might stick. So regardless of whether tomorrow you decide that, you know what, Scrum is not what I want to do, if you incorporated, the mentoring, the coaching, if you did things based on the Agile principles, if you worked on based on the 3 pillars of Scrum and the values of Scrum, and then you probably created a mindset, the Agile mindset. That's not something is just gonna go away just because you're not doing Scrum, right? It's there. So that's probably gonna stick around regardless where people are. So the other way around, if you're not really building around that, then tomorrow you decide, you know what, I just don't want to do the Scrum and things will just go back to the way they were before. That's the scenario that will probably you'll probably find, right? So anyway, bye.